usually when, at least in customer-centric selling, right, we start with discovery and we focus on the value that we can find. It's not just about their current environment and what their desired future environment is. It's where are the dollars to help pay for this along the way. Dave Elsner, the tech sales coach, with another selling workshop or selling skills workshop. With me today is Steve Shorey. He is the global sales enablement leader at Talus. Steve, you're also an active member of a sales enablement society. And then you mentioned one other group that you're involved with. What was that called?
Yeah, I work with two gentlemen, Felix Kruger and Mike Kunkel. It's something called the Building Blocks of Sales Enablement, which is an online program as well as weekly coaching sessions with those two.
Awesome. And so is that a subscription service or collaboration? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Me and a couple of other social sellers just launched something similar.
Is that right?
To help people on their social selling journey. It's really easy to learn social selling, but it's tough to execute. And so we're doing kind of a done with you workshop on a biweekly basis. So looking forward to getting that launched. So while we were, I actually reached out to you first via LinkedIn. You made a comment about one of these podcasts that I did on reading a 10K. And I saw your title and I'm like, hey, I want to learn something about sales enablement, best practices, what's hot, what's fresh. So via LinkedIn, we had a call. We talked a lot about sales enablement, but then you brought up this idea of a sales methodology that really intrigued me. And it was either called change selling or the secret agents of change selling, something like that. So
yeah. We're actually working on getting something copyrighted as we speak, which I'm trying to get. Helping Customers Change is the title that we're working with, and I think that aligns, Dave, to really everything you and I talked about as well, right? How do we help our customers first and foremost in everything that we do?
Hey, and that's a big part of selling, is helping. And, in the buyer's mind, there's always this risk of doing business with you or what have you. And with that, I think change is a big element to help them overcome that fear.
It is. And, I came up with the idea about a year ago, and I was thinking, what is it that we do in sales? What are we trying to actually accomplish? And we're not really trying to sell a product or a solution, or really we arguably aren't trying to sell anything, but we're trying to help people. We're trying to help them make a change, that they see something in their organization that maybe isn't effective or efficient, or it's going to prevent them from achieving their goals and their objectives. And so they have to go about a process of change in order to do that. Really, that's where a sales professional comes in, is to be able to act as that agent of change to help them understand what are the changes they want to make, how do you go about executing those changes, and then ultimately, selfishly, that's where we fit in and saying, can I help, right? Is there something that my company and I may be able to do to help you?
And I think the modern buyer, that's exactly what they want. They want help on their journey. They want somebody that cares about their goals, their outcomes. So I take it this starts in the discovery phase, right? We find an opportunity. And so is there a particular motion or flow to discovery that you recommend?
There's a million and one approaches out there on how do I do a discovery? What do I qualify, right? And I'm not married to any of them. I think you have to do what works best for you in your style. They are valid at different points in times. My approach has been to simply spend a little bit of time doing research on a company, right? As we all do. If it's publicly traded, much easier. You can pull up their 10K, Europe, everything is available in a statement, so you can review any company's annual report. Just take a look through that, and then there are ways you can use intent topics, whether that's something through Sales Navigator or even through some account-based marketing programs, and try to see, is there a connection between what my company does and ways that we may be able to help this customer? Are they struggling with securing their data? Are they struggling with finding ways to move to the cloud? What are those challenges they're facing? And then how might I be able to help? And during that discovery meeting, it's really sitting down and having a conversation, trying to understand what it is that they're trying to do and what are some of the roadblocks that are preventing them from getting there. And ultimately, it comes down to, if you can't do this, or if you're not able to do this, what happens? What does that mean? What's the impact on you and your organization?
Yeah, salespeople, listen to what Steve said. Do your research, find out what areas you can help in, because all of the information is out there. If you sit down at a meeting and their first question is, tell me about your business, you've already missed the mark. You need to know.
Hey, can we add one more question and never ask?
Yeah.
Tell me, Dave, what keeps you up at night?
Or what are your KPIs? Like, what does your boss expect out of you? It's like, you got to know all of that stuff walking into the meeting.
Yeah.
And then transitioning into understanding their goals, their outcomes, what they desire, and then figuring out how you can help them. And we talked about, I'm a big fan of customer-centric selling, which follows the same basic principles of, we're here to help you accomplish things. And so usually when, at least in customer-centric selling, right, we start with discovery and we focus on the value that we can find. It's not just about their current environment and what their desired future environment is. It's, where are the dollars to help pay for this along the way? And so is there a step after discovery, guided by the customer's buying process or buying criteria?
Yeah, once you go through the discovery process, to me, you're always discovering. Discovery never ends in any sales process. You're always learning, you're always asking questions, you're always trying to find ways to help them. So once you go through that discovery, it depends on what that customer's intended next steps are. It could be, hey, I want to see this in action. I want a proof of concept. It could be, you know what, thank you for your time. This isn't the right option for me, but it's being responsive to that customer in a way that's helping them be more successful rather than helping you. Yes. And I wish sales leaders understood that so many times. Us as sales professionals and sales leaders, right? I mean, we've been on both sides of that desk.
Yeah,
it's not always that sales professional who can call that customer and say, hey, it's the end of the quarter. Really need to get this deal in. Who is that helping? Is that helping the customer at all? No. And what impression does that leave of you as that sales professional asking the customer to kind of hurry up because it's going to help me? That's not my idea of customer-centric selling.
Got it. Man, you have so many good nuggets here. First and foremost, actionable next steps guided by the customer. And then you don't sell on your timeline, you sell on their timeline. Otherwise, you're applying unnecessary pressure in an environment that doesn't need it and probably lessening your chances.
I tell people sometimes, sales is something you do with someone, not to someone, right? It's a collaborative process. And if you're doing it to somebody, you're just doing it wrong.
Yeah. And I always say the salesperson that cares more wins more. Like, you've really got to understand, again, buying process, buying criteria, and how you can help them achieve those things. The other thing you mentioned was, you're always discovering. Absolutely true. I also think you're always qualifying, and qualification is based on engagement. And so those actionable next steps that you talked about, if your coach becomes a champion, then they get engaged. And that engagement tells you that you're going down the right road, and you don't need to do things like BANT anymore. Budget, authority, needs, and timing, like that's going to come out naturally in the conversation, and you don't need to ask it that way. So how do you feel about that when it comes that and other qualification measures?
Yeah, I think BANT has had its moment in time. I know Keenan recently did a debate with Corey Bray on BANT, whether it was good or not good. And I think the conclusion of that was what I agree with in what you just said. It's all going to come out in the conversation when you listen, and in the absence of nothing, anything is better, right? Yes. So if you're having a business conversation and talking with the customer about the things that they want to achieve and how you might be able to help them achieve those, these are all going to come out. Again, you could use BANT, MEDIC, MEDPIC, you pick whatever approach you want. They're all letters at the end of the day. What really matters is that conversation and the relationship you build with that customer over time.
Right. So, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this naturally just flows into proposal and negotiation.
Of course.
And if you've done all the right things in discovery, in helping them with their buying process and criteria, there's really not a need for a negotiation at the end. It just naturally happens based on their timelines.
It does. And there's people out there I know who are going to listen to this and say, boy, that's pie in the sky, right? That's the ideal world. They throw out the old BS card, and I'm right there with them throwing it out. But if you do your job this way, if you have the meaningful conversations, if you enable your customer to challenge you and have these conversations along the way, it's a natural next step. It's a progression. You're not selling anything. You're coming to an agreement about how we can help you, how we can implement this. You're never having to close anything anymore.
Yeah. So I think something worth touching on is prospecting, because it's really tough right now. But you said some things in the beginning about do your research, find out people you can actually help. Are there some teachings around taking that and turning it into an opportunity?
I think the idea is a couple of things, right? We talked a little bit about social selling earlier, and I think consistently promoting yourself and your brand, and not being a humble bragger, right? Not going out there and saying, oh, look at all the cool things I did. It's offering up things that others may find useful, that others may find helpful. How do you become a thought leader or an inspirational leader in your area of expertise? Whether that's, again, on the cybersecurity side, networking, whatever it is, software, doesn't matter. Where is it that you want to stand? Where do you want to plant your flag and say, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do? I joked around for many years and actually copyrighted the phrase "everyone's favorite bald guy" to describe myself, and that's been my flag for the last 10 years. Right, I'm everyone's favorite bald guy, and that's it.
Yeah, I actually called up your LinkedIn profile, and there it is.
That's right.
Everyone's favorite bald guy, the global sales enablement leader.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love what you said about prospecting. When you're the two things that work right now is referral-based networking, right? You got to know somebody to get in someplace. And LinkedIn's a great way to find that kind of commonality. And the other one is, post something or demonstrate your thought leadership or subject matter expert, because they say 74% of buyers go with the first salesperson that helped them with their research.
Interesting.
And the buying process has changed. It used to be that we help them with research. We don't. They have access to so much information. And what you want to be is that information that they find that draws them to you. So you're singing my song when it comes to,
it is amazing.
Yeah.
It is this notion that, look, sales is hard. Nobody goes into sales because it's easy. They might think it is, but once you pick up that bag, you realize how heavy it is. In order to be successful in sales today, you can't send these random messages via LinkedIn and email and picking up the phone and calling. That doesn't work. That may have worked at the beginning of the pandemic. And what I taught people to do a year ago is different than what I'm teaching them to do today.
Right.
It's a very dynamic world of prospecting and how people want to be communicated with, when they want to be communicated with. I equate prospecting, Dave, to almost like you're looking for a job, right? If I'm looking for a new job, what am I going to do? Well, I maybe have a list of target companies or industries. Then I'm going to start researching those companies, we'll say, for example. And I might find a job posting that I'm really interested in. So what am I going to do? I'm going to read the job description. And in that job description, it might have a little blurb about who it's reporting to.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm going to LinkedIn and I'm sending an email to that person saying, hey, I'm Dave Elsner, right? I'm interested in working at your company. Here's why we should talk.
Right. Here's my experience and who I've helped and how I've helped them.
Exactly. And by applying that same concept of I want to get a job to I want to work with you and see how I can help you, it makes it a little bit more, I think, relatable for us, because God knows we've all had to look for a job at some point in time.
Yes. Man, your sales teams are lucky to have you. That's for sure. I love your insights, your guidance, all the golden nuggets you dropped here today. Any last thoughts or things you want to add for our combined audiences here?
Boy, think about the customer first. That's a number one thing. I'm in the process of getting my website back up, steveshorey.com. That will be up again in the next day or so. And of course, follow me on LinkedIn, where I'm putting out thoughts, nuggets, as you like to call it, every now and then, so as not to flood everybody.
Yeah. And that is, I think, what LinkedIn is about, is we're all trying to share value, not trying to sell something. So, man, this was awesome. I really appreciate you doing this.
Well, thank you,
Dan, sharing your thoughts. Yeah.
I'm just grateful that you reached out and we were able to connect and have some conversations and get to know each other. So thank you.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.